Lawrenceville, Georgia is a pretty large town here in Gwinnett County, and it's approximately 30 miles north of Atlanta. As of 2020, there were nearly 31,000 residents, and the town has a total of 6 different zip codes. It also takes about 14 square miles of land, so both physically by size and by population density, it is quite the town. It sits just east of Atlanta, which makes it a very popular city for those who commute into Atlanta but want to live in the suburbs. So, what is it going to cost you to live in Lawrenceville? Hi, I'm Sarah Maslowski, a local real estate agent and team leader here in Northeast Metro Atlanta area, and my team and I help clients from all over the country relocate here to the North Georgia area. Lawrenceville has definitely more hustle and bustle than some of the towns that we usually talk about here on my channel. It is a very developed area. It is home to a ton of office spaces and developments and business parks, and you'll also find that many homes in Lawrenceville don't have a ton of land. Most are typically less than an acre, with most of those being less than half of an acre. As of November 2021, the median home price in the Lawrenceville area was $348,000, and so that's definitely on the lower side when you compare it to towns like Alpharetta or Buford. But the median home sales price is up 30% year over year, which is just nuts. But if you've watched my channel or any recent videos, you know that this is typically the case no matter where you're at in Georgia. You're looking at an average appreciation of anywhere between the high teens to that 30%. So if you're going to rent in Lawrenceville, you can expect to pay around $2,000 plus a month. If you've watched my other true cost videos on this channel, then you already know the drill. I love to reference a website called bestplaces.org, which is a website that breaks down the true cost of living in towns all across the US. They use a scale of 100 to describe the overall cost of living in an area compared to the national average. So the state of Georgia as a whole has a score of 93, which is below the national average of 100. Now, whenever you look at Lawrenceville, it has a rating of 97, which is under the national average, but more expensive than most places in Georgia. They give the house pricing in Lawrenceville a rating of 95. So that 95 rating is pretty fair, since we talked about earlier how home prices in Lawrenceville are at a pretty fair price compared to other parts and other suburbs that we talk about here on this channel. So this is definitely a great rating when you think about how close to Atlanta you are. Now, at the time of filming this video, there are currently only 180 homes for sale on the local MLS system in Lawrenceville. Many of these houses are going to be older houses, so you're looking at houses built in the 90s. Now, some of these have been updated and they're in established neighborhoods, which is a great thing. And there's some ultra modern new construction homes going up if that's more your speed. But those are going to come with a very hefty price tag. We often have families reach out and mention they don't care about being anywhere near the lake, and this is definitely one of those towns you should put on your list. As I've mentioned before, property taxes in Georgia are definitely on the lower side compared to many states. This is a huge reason that many people choose to relocate here to Georgia. Since home prices are on the more affordable side in Lawrenceville, the property taxes are as well, since they are based on the assessed value of your home. If you want to learn more about how property taxes work here in Georgia, you can check out this video and learn all about that process. Taxes are fun, right? Most homes here in Georgia are in neighborhoods, which means you will need to account for HOA fees. Our team has noticed lately that a lot of people say they don't want to be in a neighborhood with an HOA when they reach out to us about moving, which unfortunately is not very common. And I've also found that they're basing that information based on HOA fees back in their home state. For example, people from Florida, you always tell us we do not want to pay high HOA fees. Well, you're going to get a kick out of this. HOA fees here typically are between $400 to $800 per year, not per month. So rethink that. Where you're coming from, it sounds like there are astronomical HOA fees monthly. Most HOA fees here covering the entire year. Now, if you can afford to purchase a bigger home on a chunk of acreage, you can find a home on its own that's not in a neighborhood where you're not going to have to worry about the HOA fee. But those are more rare, less uncommon. This is just the way it is here in Georgia. Homes are in neighborhoods most neighborhoods are going to have an HOA unless it's like a really older neighborhood. Another thing that people assume, and I guess it's because Georgia is in the South, is that you can have a chicken coop in your backyard. Well, I love chickens, just like the next person, and almost all HOAs are going to have bylaws that you will not be allowed to have any livestock or anything of that nature like in your backyard. So if that's something you're dead set on and you want that dream of having a little hobby farm, we're definitely going to need to find you a home that is not in a neighborhood, and this is more than likely going to come with a larger price tag because of that larger piece of land. All right, back to Lawrenceville. Homes here are going to be in neighborhoods pretty much with an HOA fee, which come with fees, you know, anywhere between a few $100 to a few $1,000 if we're talking about gated communities, depending upon those amenities. Now, HOAs allow your home to maintain their value. It also ensures that you're not going to have a neighbor paint their house purple or have cars in their yard. Like most of the other towns I've talked about on the channel, aside from the cost of homes, most categories that are used to rank cost of living in Lawrenceville come right in around the national average. So healthcare scored a 91, which is lower than both the state and national average. And at the time of filming this video, a gallon of gas in Lawrenceville comes in right around $2.95. That is much lower than the national average, which comes in at around $3.29 a gallon. Now, if you're watching me from California, I can imagine that the cost of gas being in the $2 range is a bit mind-boggling compared to the prices you are used to. You are going to definitely need a car though, so make sure you take that into account if you live here in Georgia. It's a bit of a non-negotiable. There's hardly any public transportation to think of. So the transportation ranking comes in around 99, which I think is quite high since the cost of gas is on the lower side. But I guess if you're thinking about how you have to have a car to go everywhere and you're gonna have to have that expense, I guess that works out. One good thing to note about the county of Gwinnett, specifically in Lawrenceville, is that you don't need a yearly inspection on your car like you do in many other states, so that's one savings that you will have. Now, utility rankings were given a score of 101, which, again, who knows why it's 1% higher than the national average. Utility prices are definitely more affordable here in Georgia, even though you have to run your air conditioning for a majority of the year. Even with this being filmed in the month of December, we recently went from running our AC yesterday to building a fire in our fireplace today. That's just the weather for you here in Georgia. Now, as far as groceries and shopping, Lawrenceville has all the staples. You've got Walmart, Target, a ton of great restaurants, all of the grocery stores that you can think of, and Lawrenceville has the cutest little downtown area with some awesome local restaurants like the Universal Joint, which is super delicious. Another incredible spot in downtown Lawrenceville is the Peachtree Cafe. It has incredible breakfast food. Every time I've always been there, it's always covered up with people because the food is just that good. Now in Lawrenceville, you also have medieval times, which is quite an interesting concept. You kind of sit in like an amphitheater and look down in the middle where people are dressed up like they are from the medieval times, and they ride around on horses and put on a show while you eat big old turkey legs and other hearty food. It sounds really weird, but it's a cool place to take younger kids. Definitely something different to do on a Saturday besides a trip to the mall. Speaking of the mall, there is a huge shopping complex called Sugarloaf Mills. Now, back in the day, this was an awesome mall that had all sorts of cool stores in it. And, you know, like most malls, it's kind of lost its luster since Amazon is taking over our shopping needs. But, much to my husband's chagrin, surprise, joy, there is a huge Bass Pro Shop there that people like to go to for all of their outdoor shopping needs. You know, you buy a boat, fishing, guns, they have it all there, and you can even view live fish inside the store. Lawrenceville has a pretty good price tag considering its proximity to the city, but it is definitely very developed, and it does not come with that small town charm that we talk about in some of the other towns. So if that's what you're after, this isn't it. So what do you think? Is Lawrenceville on the list of towns to consider? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you're thinking about relocating to Georgia, you have to reach out to our team. We cannot wait to help serve you. Our information is in the comments below.